Hello and welcome to Mad About Sports. Today we are going to be talking about the World Cup, isn't it? It's all around, it's very near, and everybody has been kicked in with that World Cup fever. And what's surprising is a World Cup which is going to be played in the winters. For the first ever time, you're going to be having a World Cup right in between a season, and you're going to be seeing a lot more different kind of football. Players are slightly tired, you can say, because they've been playing a season in Europe. The season had already begun Europe, Asia, and in South America as well. So players are going to be coming back slightly jaded. So that's the start off with about the World Cup. But when we talk about the World Cup, you all know it is the biggest trophy and it is the biggest glory which every footballer wants to attain. And when we talk about this World Cup, what's the first thing which comes into our mind? We know that's going to be the last World Cup for some of the greatest players of all time, likes of Messi, Ronaldo, Modric, Mola. A lot of players will be playing their last World Cup, and it's definitely gonna be the hunt for the last. Even for Neymar, even Neymar could be playing his last World Cup. Maybe you never know. Neymar can play possibly another World Cup, but it's already hinted that he might be playing his last World Cup. So each of these players will get one opportunity or one last shot to go and get that trophy, and that's why this World Cup is going to be the World Cup of last for many, and this World Cup is also first of many things, like the World Cup playing in winter, and a World Cup where a lot of teams are in with a lot of young players, and a lot of young players look forward to as well. Who are the young players look forward to in this World Cup, right? Because when we talk about the young players in this World Cup, there are some notable names. The likes of Chouameni is there, likes of Bukayo Saka who's going to be playing his first World Cup. Jude Bellingham, what a star he has been. Jamal Musiala, he's been making it big in Bundesliga there. These two Bundesliga youngsters are definitely up there. Ryan Gravenberg is definitely missed out, but could have been one of the players who could have possibly made it for a Dutch squad as well. And when we talk about Kubo from Japan, he's another player to watch out for in this entirety of World Cup. Orlan Chouameni, as I already mentioned, and also Kamavinga will be playing his first World Cup as well. So some big, some possibly the next generation of goats are possibly landing their feet in the World Cup for the first time. You never know. Maybe as we spoke about in 2018, Mbappe got an opportunity at the World Cup and he really claimed it, and that's why he's got something which most of the big players do not have, and that's the World Cup. So you never know. One of these youngsters could make an impact and get their hands on that glorious trophy as well. But what is that one thing which we all want to talk about, right? Is the contenders, who are the favorites, and who are the dark horses for the World Cup. Of course, we always love the dark horse story. When we look back in 2018, Croatia were the dark horses in the tournament and they went on to play the final. And even in this World Cup, you got some dark horses, you've got some hot favorites, and you've got some contenders as well. But let's start with the hot favorites of the tournament, right? When we talk about the hot favorites of the tournament, it had to be the two South American giants. After maybe 2 decades, you're possibly going to a World Cup where you are rating these two South American giants to be the favorites. 2014, one South American giant came very close. It was Argentina, who had the shot in the World Cup in like playing the final. They lost to Germany. In 2014, Brazil playing at home came to the semifinal, but it ended up in a disaster for them. But in 2018, both the teams did not really make it big. Finally, both the teams are in red hot form. They both are playing as a team really well. Both teams were unbeaten through their World Cup qualification run, and Argentina, to top it off, 35 games unbeaten leading into this World Cup, possibly can create a world record if they have an unbeaten streak in the World Cup and if they go on to clinch that trophy. Yeah, as we know, when we talk about Argentina, we have to mention the player, isn't it? Leo Messi with his one last shot in the World Cup, and he's already entered. It's going to be his last World Cup. By the time the next World Cup comes, he's going to be 39 years old, and possibility of him continuing in one more World Cup is very rare. But that's when we are going to be talking about this possibly his last chance at the World Cup. And the Argentinian team rounds around him. They're really motivated to win it for him. The motivation for the Argentinian team is to win it for Leo Messi. And in Argentina, they got the international trophy which they're hunting for a very, very long time. So the pressure of the international trophy is finally off the back of many of these Argentinian players, which makes the media in Argentina also to calm down and mellow down slightly, give this team a lot more space to go out there and play their football. Leading into this World Cup, they've been exemplary. who are the notable players to watch out for from that team? Some of the notable players are Lautaro Martinez. He's been having a terrific season so far. He scored 8 goals from all competition in 21 games. Put in 4 assists as well. A decent season for Lautaro Martinez. Then you have to, of course, talk about Leo Messi. He's back in form once again. Last season when he moved to PSG, he did not have the best of times, but this season he already scored 11 goals in all competition and 14 assists in 18 games. So definitely a linchpin to watch out for. But they're definitely going to miss Giovanni Lo Celso, because Lo Celso is injured and he's going to be missing out. He was their leading assist maker in the World Cup qualifiers as well. So definitely a huge miss there. But Argentina, definitely one of the strong and hot favorites leading into this World Cup, because they play as a team. And Scaloni, they've really found the mojo. They've really found a good environment to play football in as well. But let's talk about their neighbors, their arch rivals, Brazil. After a very long time, you're seeing that flair in the Brazil squad, isn't it? You've got the likes of young Winnie Jr., Rodrigo, you've got Paqueta and Neymar. They just want to go out there and play samba, isn't it? They know that they've got the flair. You've seen them in the World Cup qualifiers. They're a dream run in the Copa America until the final, of course. And of course, they've been really creating some havoc all across the world football. So, and they've got players, they've got individual talents who are true and potential match winners on their day. Winnie Jr. is coming off a Champions League triumph. Rodrigo is a clutch player. He knows in the big moments he always steps up. Paqueta has been having a very good season. And Neymar has been having a dream run as well for PSG. So, all in all, a team who's looking very well gelled. When we talk about their possible weakness, it could only be the fullback positions. They've called back someone like a Danny Alves, old legs, but experienced nonetheless. But can he be there to, handle the intensity of a World Cup? Well, time will tell you. They're put in a group with Switzerland, Serbia, possibly a tricky group, one can say. But if they should be the favorites to make it out of the group with ease and top the group as well. So a very interesting team to watch out for. At the same time, one of the hot favorites leading into this World Cup. Who is another contender for the World Cup, right? When we talk about the World Cup, we have to talk about possibly the hot favorites in this World Cup, and it has to be another contender has to be Spain. Maybe you can put them as an underdog, at the same time a contender, because of what it has been. A controversial squad has been announced by Luis Enrique leading into this World Cup, because when we talk about Luis Enrique, a very rigid manager, he's got a very strong philosophy in himself, and a manager who has possibly had it all in club football. He won a treble with Barcelona, also respect of the team, and he believes in the philosophy in which he plays. When you look at the Spanish squad, who are the notable misses? That's the first thing which comes in your mind. Sergio Ramos, a captain, legend, leader, not making it to the Spanish squad. Definitely, it has sparked a lot of debate in Spanish media. Someone like a Sergio Canales, who's been having a very good season, does not make it to the Spanish squad. Borja Iglesias, second leading a goal scorer in La Liga this season, does not make it to the Spanish squad alongside Gerard Moreno, who has been in good form as well. But who are the players he's included, right? He's included the two youngsters from Barcelona and Pedri and Gavi in the midfield. He's gone with an Ansu Fati, who's not had enough minutes under the belt. Definitely a player to watch out for. A Spanish team never disappoints, right? They've always got the philosophy. They believe in that philosophy. At the same time, there are notable misses as well. When we talk about the goalkeeping position between the sticks, he has gone with Unai Simon. He has not gone with someone like a David De Gea. Primary reason could be the distribution skills, because Luis Enrique is someone who's big up on the ball playing skills, which De Gea definitely lacks. He's a good shot stopper, but is he a good distributor? Maybe something which Luis Enrique does not believe in. Another notable miss is Kepa Arrizabalaga, because Kepa has been having a very good run with Chelsea under Graham Potter, and he's not made it to the squad as well. Yeah, he is injured to an extent, but he should possibly be fit by the start of the World Cup. So that's another notable miss. And when we talk about the wing-back position, he has gone with the Jordi Alba. Definitely not the starter for Barcelona for this season. And a notable miss is Grimaldo. Grimaldo has been having a good season with Valencia as well. An exciting squad, one can say so. But it's only if they have a run like they had in the Euros, they can possibly go deep in the tournament. Another squad which everybody, a possible contender for this World Cup, is also the Dutch squad under Louis van Gaal. A very good squad. They've been doing it very well in the Nations League. I've made it to the Nations League semi-final. Missed out on the 2018 World Cup. Semi-finalists of the 2014 World Cup. Finalists of the 2010 World Cup. They've always come very close for the World Cup, but they've never had the glory, isn't it? So Is this the time for the Dutch squad? They have a generation of good and young players, and certainly some leaders in the team as well. Let's look at the back line, right? That's where everybody's eyes are on. They've got a Van Dijk, they've got a Delete, they've got a De Vrij, certainly a team who can definitely put on a show. And they've got Dumfries, who's quick, and he's potentially in the final third, one of the most threatening wing backs out there in Europe. When we talk about the midfield, you've got someone like a Van Horst, you've got someone like a De Jong, and definitely one of the miss is going to be Wijnaldum. Wijnaldum has been a very good player for this team leading into the World Cup and the qualifiers as well, but it's a big miss. And Van der Beek was a notable exclusion as well. Initially, during Louis van Gaal's initial days, he didn't go Van de Beek in majority of the games. But look at the number of minutes he's got in his club. Even Everton, and after him returning back from loan into United, he's not got enough minutes under the belt. So a miss which Netherlands will be looking at is that. And when we talk about the forward, they've got Memphis Depay. Memphis Depay is certainly a player who's not got enough minutes under the belt once again. But that's where the question comes, isn't it? This World Cup is being played in the middle of the season. A lot of players are tired. So can this be a blessing in disguise for many of the teams where a lot of players who they've included are players who have not got enough minutes under the belt? So can this be blessing in disguise where these fresh legs can go out there and perform really at a high intensity in these 30 days? Possibly, yes. And a lot of these managers we've seen is not gone with form. They've gone with a chemistry, they've gone with a philosophy which they believe in, they've gone with possibly a team which they've built over last 3 years, which I think is a positive in itself, because a lot of players who might come into a Spanish camp or a Dutch camp or even a French camp might not be able to adapt in a very short span of time going into a World Cup. And remember, World Cup is a huge, it's a huge competition. The pressure is different. The whole national media is on to you. So that's why maybe many of these managers have preferred a team who has played over a longer period of time. And that's going to be an interesting thing to watch out for through the course of this World Cup. Let's look ahead now. Let's look at some of the underdogs as well in this World Cup, right? When we talk about the underdogs of this World Cup, one team which really comes into my mind is the Denmark squad. Where does it all spark for the Denmark squad, isn't it? Denmark squad, since that Ericsson incident against Finland, has looked totally different. And even to the lead up into the World Cup, they've had the better of France in multiple occasions, even in the Nations League, and they've been playing some really good football. Who are the main players? Christensen in Denmark has been a very good. He's played like a leader. Simon Kjaer has done a very good job. Vestergaard has done a decent job, and Højbjerg. These players they've been playing as a team, one can say, and alongside Vestergaard and Damsgaard as well up top. But back of Ericsson into this team has really bolstered this team's midfield as well. What Ericsson has been doing, Ericsson has been playing a pivotal role with Manchester United team as well. Erik Ten Hag has been very, very up. He's had an eye on Ericsson. The reason why he's brought him is that he believed that he could fit in right into the philosophy which Erik Ten Hag had, and something which he's been doing in counter presses. Denmark has been one of the best teams. Even in the final third, a team which has got a very high percent of regaining ball in the final third has been Denmark. They've been playing good high line. They've been playing with a very high line defense. They've been playing a very impressive football out there, and it's certainly a team to watch out for. They're put in a group with France, Tunisia, and Australia. A group which is very similar to what they had last time around in 2018 World Cup as well. And even that World Cup, they were a team who gave a run for the money to a French national team. And even you saw that in the recent past leading into this World Cup, they've had the better of France. One of the notable results were that 2-0 win, which they had over France. Certainly a team to watch out for. Many people say that they are a team to even top the group. And don't be surprised if they top the group with France in it. So certainly the underdog for this World Cup are the Denmark national team. So when we talk about the local team from Asia, we need to look at a team from Asia, isn't it? Because this World Cup is played in Middle East. There is a Qatar team who has really improved. There's a Saudi team who's coming off very good one. There's a Japan and a South Korean team as well. One team to really watch out for will be the South Korean team. South Korean team is put in a group with Uruguay, Portugal, and not the easiest of groups. And alongside that, they have Ghana as well. Not the easiest of groups, but then the biggest positive for the South Korean team is that Heung-min Son, he is back. He is confirmed that he will be available for the World Cup, and a team who did show a lot of signs in the 2018 World Cup as well. They've really come of age as a team. They've been playing some really impressive football. Even in the Asian qualifiers, they did go on there to put up a good show. And alongside them are Japanese team as well. They had a very good run in the 2018 World Cup. They came out there very close to giving a really big challenge to Belgium in the round of 16, but they missed out. So a team to watch out for is Japan and South Korea from the Asia, and maybe one other team, maybe the host nation. It'll all depend on how they start off. They are the defending champions of Asia. They've been very impressive so far. They put up a system since 2005. They brought in so many Spanish coaches into the system. They've been playing a very, very aggressive brand of football as well, where they want to make the football look very beautiful. They've not been there to sit back and defend. And they also had an opportunity to play in Copa America once in 2019. So they've got enough exposure, enough experience leading into the World Cup. And with the home support, expect them to have a decent run in this World Cup as well. Now, finally, let's look at some of the notable exclusions, right? Notable exclusions. Firstly, you have to talk about the English national team. And one of the notable exclusion has been for Kayo Tamori. He's been the Serie A champion with AC Milan. Had a very good season with them. Maybe this season he looked possibly vulnerable in some of the big games, especially one game which comes into everyone's mind is the game which he played against Chelsea, where he was very vulnerable in the first leg, and in the second leg he got sent off as well in Champions League. So one, maybe Gareth Southgate would have definitely taken a note of that. Okay, he's maybe stumbling in big occasions, but he has gone with someone like a Harry Maguire. So that is where we talk about. Like England are definitely one of the contenders for this World Cup as well. Very young squad. They've got some impressive players out there, as I already mentioned, Jude Bellingham, Bukayo Saka. They've got a Foden, Mason Mount. But when we talk about some of the notable exclusions as well, they've gone for someone like Ivan Toney, maybe the second leading goal scorer in all competitions across Europe. He's pinned in 10 goals in all competitions this season. He's been in very good form. They've gone with someone like Callum Wilson. Um, Maybe like for like, something to be debated upon. Is it the right way? Because Ivan Toney has been in great form. He went on to put up a show even against the Manchester City. So this guy can play in big occasions. He's someone who steps up for the big occasions as well. Maybe as someone who could have been brought out of the bench. And now been talking about bringing out of the bench. What is it about this World Cup and bringing out of the bench? You can bring in 5 substitutions, which is not like any other World Cup, right? You can bring in 5 off the bench, which is the first time which is going to be implemented in this World Cup. So you would need a lot of strength in your bench to bring in a lot of fresh legs as well. Remember, the weather conditions in Qatar is still hot. It's still high 30s and high 20s as well during the night, and high 30s during the day. If you have day games, there are possibility with the tired legs, you will need a lot of reinforcement, which should come off the bench. So that's where maybe Gareth Southgate will be questioned regarding his selection, and that's definitely one of the notable exclusion. And as I already mentioned, Sergio Ramos, a huge miss for this World Cup as well, because he's been a very good player, right? He's been the leader of men. He's definitely done it well in big occasions. And another player which comes to my mind is David De Gea, because he's been in very good form throughout the season for Manchester United. And if you look, they did not get off to the best of starts in the season, but him behind the sticks has given a lot of confidence for the backline, including Lisandro Martinez and Varane as well for Manchester United. And another player, Renato Sanchez. Renato Sanchez was the best young player for Portugal in the 2016 Euros. He had the flair even in the 2021 Euros when he was brought off the bench in multiple occasions. Certainly a huge miss. As I mentioned, you'll need a good bench in this World Cup. And another notable miss is is also Thiago, who's been doing a very good job um, uh, with the Liverpool team. Someone who would have fitted perfectly in Luis Enrique's system, but a notable miss once again. But alongside that is also Jadon Sancho. One can say he's not really impressed everybody in the Premier League. He's not really reached that potential like what he had in Bundesliga, because in Bundesliga he carried a reputation. He had a certain style of play. He's not yet done it in Premier League, but at least this season is better than the last season he had. So certainly a notable miss. And once again, a player who could have possibly made it into the squad, maybe not in the starting 11, and certainly these are the big players who have missed out on the World Cup. Now, when we talk about this World Cup, this is going to be a very interesting one. You're going to have high intensity games. Maybe you can say this is a World Cup of the most evenly matched teams. I'll pull up the groups now to see what is the group of death, what is the group which you are all anticipating for, right? For us, we personally think England, Iran, USA, Wales is certainly a tricky group, because you have a USA team who have been not playing the best of football, right? Their best win came against El Salvador. They've been put under the pump by Mexico. They've lost to Japan in recent past leading into this World Cup. but they've got players who can possibly turn it around. USA and Wales. Wales, you all know, they've had a great run into the World Cup in the qualifiers as well. Uh, so certainly a team to watch out for. And Iran are defensively a very compact team. So England, Iran, and Wales, USA is the first notable group which comes in your mind. When you talk about the Argentina group, it should be an easy run for Argentina, but the fight is going to be between Mexico, Poland, and even Saudi. Because if Saudi can get one big result from Mexico and Poland, then they're definitely in the race. But which is a group of death. I think we should talk about the group of death. Every World Cup we have a group of death, and Group E is that's where your eye goes. As we already mentioned, Japan are one of the underdogs, and you're going against Germany and Spain. Now that is where it's going to get interesting. And alongside Costa Rica in 2018 World Cup not really do well. And when you talk about 2014 World Cup, everybody remembers that dream run of Costa Rica as well. So Group E is the group of death, and another group is the Group G. Why Group G? Because you have Serbia and Switzerland. Possibly this could be the best Serbian squad after a very, very long time. One of the notable names we have in the Serbian squad is Dusan Vlahovic. He's been having a great time with Juventus. The Juventus has having been having the best of times, but Dusan Vlahovic is definitely a notable name. And alongside him is Tadic. And this is a generational team. And Switzerland have named a very strong squad as well, alongside Cameroon. Cameroon, you always know, when it comes to big competitions like the World Cup, they always manage to get a result here or there. So Group G is another group which everybody should be looking out for. Alongside that is the Group H. What is it about Group H? Uruguay versus Ghana? Yes, exactly. Who can never forget that World Cup quarterfinal where Luis Suarez had to put his hand out and save the ball from going in. He got sent off. Then from there, Asamoah Gyan went on to miss the penalty, and Ghana lost the penalty ultimately in that game, missing out on a spot in the World Cup semi-final in the World Cup in South Africa. So of course there is a lot of rivalry even before when the groups were announced. And of course, alongside is Portugal. Portugal have got a very good team, right? I think that's one team which we have to talk about because which we did not cover so far is Portuguese team. Is this the right time, or is it all about Ronaldo? Because Ronaldo hasn't been having the best of times off the field after his interview which he made with Piers Morgan. One can say, is he feeling a lot lighter? Now we have to talk about Ronaldo. I think we need to at least spend a minute talking about Ronaldo. Ronaldo, we all know, he is of that elite list, right? When you talk about the greatest of all times, Ronaldo is definitely out there. The leading goal scorer in international football. He's had a very good time with Portugal. He won a Euros. Did not have the best of time in Euro 2021 where they got crashed out by Belgium. But is this the year for Ronaldo and the team? This is possibly the best Portuguese team Ronaldo is going to play with. Look at the depth they have got in every position. Look at the fullbacks they've got. In the right back position, they've got a Cancelo, they've got Diego Dalot. In the left back position, they have a Nuno Mendes. Definitely a youngster to watch out for years to come. They've got a Guerrero as well. When we talk about the back line as well, they've got a Ruben Diaz, they've got a Pepe, who's one of the oldest players of the competition, but he's still out there. And Diogo Alves as a keeper, definitely a very interesting keeper, a ball playing keeper, someone who fits into the system as well, which Santos has been trying to deploy slightly different tactics since the World Cup qualifying playoffs, which he had against Turkey and Macedonia. So interesting team leading into this World Cup. What is their midfield like? The midfield is also one of the most interesting midfield. They've got a Ruben Neves, they've got a Bruno Fernandes, and this is a team who was possibly there, up there with one of the best teams of the World Cup. On paper, looks like the most deadly team out there. They've got Bernardo Silva and the man himself, Cristiano Ronaldo. And one of the players who's possibly going to be having a lot of eyeballs is also Rafael Leao. He's been having a very good time with AC Milan. He's had a very good last 1 year, and he would want to make an impact as well. But one notable miss definitely is going to be Diogo Jota. He's missed out due to an injury for the World Cup, and it's going to be a big miss because he's been a vital player even for Liverpool. And even if you want to bring him off the bench, he can make an impact because that's the kind of player he's been over the last one season with Liverpool, and whenever he's got an opportunity with Portugal as well. Certainly a team who's expected to go deeper in the tournament. What happens if they finish number 2 in the group? If Brazil finish number 1 in the group and if Portugal finish number 2 in the group, then you will have a Brazil versus Portugal round of 16. Something which will possibly be one of the best games of the tournament. But Portugal will be looking to finish the group on a high, and they've got one of the best teams to finish the group on a high as well. Certainly one of the contenders for the World Cup as well. Expecting them to reach far. So expecting them to at least finish in top four in this World Cup, and that's where it's going to be interesting for this Portuguese national team. Now, what is it about Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, Modric, Neymar, Benzema? These players have not won a World Cup, and can they finally get their hands on the World Cup? Well, time will tell. But ultimately, you will be hoping at least one of them gets their hand on the World Cup, and especially about the debate of the two goats, right? It's their one last dance, and Qatar is all set for the one last dance as well. Thank you for watching this video. Hope we can come up with more of these videos, and do remember to subscribe to the channel, follow us on Instagram, and check out all our latest courses as well. If you want to know more about football analytics, cricket data analytics, and also sports management, check out our link in the description. Have a good time, all of you. Bye bye.